Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Virginia farmers are struggling with a large increase in their production costs. Chef Tammy Brawley has a chocolate treat for your Valentine celebration. And an old program to help beginning farmers has been given a new life.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay. Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Creamfield Farm in Hanover County. As Virginia farmers prepare for spring planting season, they're bracing themselves for much higher expenses than a year ago. Burke Moeller explains why.
Fields like these need fertilizer to achieve their maximum potential. But this year, fertilizer prices are up as much as 300% in some areas, according to the American Farm Bureau Federation. The increase has hit farmers like Richard Kitchen hard.
We've heard upwards of 200% increases on things such as liquid nitrogen and other things, which is just astronomical.
So despite having a strong financial year in 2021, many Virginia farmers are having to spend their anticipated profits on fertilizer for the coming planting season. Farmers like Kitchen are also hoping their previous conservation efforts will give their new crops a boost.
Conservation tillage, strip tillage, things like that actually help to conserve nutrients in the soil, crop rotation, things like that we try to rotate our crops and utilize what fertilizer and nutrients is already in the ground.
But residual nutrients will only go so far, and Kitchen knows he'll have to apply some fertilizer. His strategy is to wait until closer to the spring planting season to see if prices come down. Like him, farmers across the state are figuring out how best to manage the sticker shock.
I've never seen it in my 50 years of farming, this much of an increase at one time.
Wayne Kirby in Hanover County is also making adjustments to his spring plans.
Last year, the budgets that we were using to plant a corn crop, we were using a number of $450 to plant an acre of corn. Based on the price of corn at that time, our break even was about 100 plus, 110 bushels per acre. Our budgets for going into 2022 looks like it's $700, quite an increase.
There isn't just one reason for the price increase. Input costs, political tensions causing fear of shortages, and like all other products right now, supply chain issues have made resources even scarcer.
Vessel shortages, labor shortages at the ports, and then once we get it here, then we have to find trucks here that are available to get it out to the wholesalers and the retailers and then out to the farms.
According to the American Farm Bureau Federation, fertilizer costs are approximately 15% of total cash costs for farmers in the U.S. Many fertilizer products are extracted from natural gas. But a deadly freeze in Texas last February created a demand spike that forced plants in Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana to shut down, taking 250,000 tons of ammonia production off the market. Hurricane Ida also struck that region last August, halting fertilizer production again. Even the Beijing Olympic Games this winter is keeping natural gas supplies tight.
China is taking back some of their production that they usually ramp up to produce fertilizer to be shipped overseas to sell to America and other countries. And right now they're closing a lot of their production plants in order to help clean up the smog and pollution.
Even after the Winter Olympics are over, the outlook for this spring is a costly one for farmers preparing their land for planting season. But Virginia farmers will adapt in hopes that 2022 will be a prosperous year. In Southampton County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
Like all businesses, farmers have to balance expenses and income to make a profit. While grain and soybean farmers have seen better prices for their crops in the past year, higher feed costs have really hurt the bottom line for livestock producers. Now, row crop farmers are struggling to balance their budgets with higher fertilizer and crop protectant prices. But unlike some other businesses, farmers can rarely pass along the cost of higher expenses to their customers. In 2019, the Agriculture Department estimated farmers received a little more than 14 cents per dollar spent on food in the U.S.
I'm Mark Viet. Coming up in the garden, I'm going to talk about beautyberry and ornamental grasses. So stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
If you're planning next year's garden layout, don't forget to include plants that can give you year-round interest and color. Mark Viet has 2 examples for us in the garden.
Ornamental grasses are easy to grow. They're drought resistant, they love the full sun. Some will even grow in, standing water or around ponds. Most of them bloom late in the season. There are some that bloom earlier in the season. This is known as the maiden grass or miscanthus. They range in height, this type of grass, anywhere from 24 inches to maybe 12 feet tall. This one here is about 7 feet tall, but imagine something twice this size. I like to use the shorter varieties in the garden because some of the tall varieties are just too big. Not only that, some of the tall varieties tend to fall over and flop in the garden. Now, the best time to maintain these or trim them back is early spring or late winter. Now, the reason I do that, this provides a lot of protection for our songbirds, for our cardinals, for blue jays, for sparrows, because, when the cold weather gets here, so do the predators like the Cooper's hawk, and they love to feed on birds. So this provides protection for wildlife during the winter months. These varieties of miscanthus vary in their color. Some of them have beautiful variegated foliage like this. Some have sort of a spotted foliage. In fact, they call this one zebra grass, and this one can get tall. In fact, it's almost too tall for many of our gardens. It's like this tall, 10, 12 feet. But I like this variety. It is a type of zebra grass, similar to this zebra grass here, but it does not get that tall. Perfect for a garden setting. And there's probably 3 plants here. The other great thing about ornamental grasses is you can plant them farther apart. You can plant them apart based on how tall they get. So if they get 5 feet tall, you can plant them 5 feet apart. It's an economical plant, long-lived plant, easy to grow plant for our gardens. At the same time our ornamental grasses bloom, another great native plant that we can put in our garden is the beautyberry. And this is the Native American beautyberry that gets quite tall. And as you can see here, maybe 6, 7, 8 feet. You need a little more room for this variety. Some of the other varieties like the white one or the weeping form don't get as big. But if you've got an area that you need to fill up, you can look. Sometimes it's called porcelain berry, but the most common name is beautyberry or calicarpa. And just look how beautiful these berries are. And you can use them in flower arranging too. So if you cut this stem, you could use this in a beautiful late season flower arrangement. Again, easy to grow native plant for our gardens. An easy to use type of beautyberry is this weeping form. And it gets about the height you see here, 3 to 4 feet. And you can compare how pretty it is against the white beautyberry. This is one plant, so it's about 7 feet wide. Now remember, beautyberry blooms on new wood, so the best time to prune this is in the spring. So probably sometime in April would be great to prune it. You could even prune it end of March. Sometimes we prune it to 6 inches from the ground. Sometimes we prune it more like 24 inches to ground. The choice is yours, but it's a beautiful addition with the beautiful ornamental grasses. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. Coming up on Heart of the Home, chocolate crepes with an orange mascarpone filling and an orange Suzette sauce. Stay tuned.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Chocolate is the ingredient of the month in many February recipes. Chef Tammy Brawley is happy to oblige with a recipe for chocolate crepes in the heart of the home.
I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Welcome to Heart of the Home. This morning I'm going to show you guys a delicious recipe coming up for Valentine's. You might want to make it for your sweetheart. We are going to do chocolate crepes with an orange mascarpone filling and an orange Suzette sauce. So why don't we get started? Crepes they can be a little difficult, but we're going to show you how to work through that. And the first thing we're going to do is actually make the crepe batter, and that involves a blender. You can do a food processor, possibly even a kitchen stand mixer, or a hand mixer is fine, but you just want it blended really well. So to my blender, I'm actually going to add, we already have together here, milk and eggs. And then I have a collection here of cocoa powder, sugar, and flour, and just a tad salt. We're going to add that to the blender. I'm going to turn the blender on and get it blended well. Doesn't need to go for a long time, but you do want it blended pretty well. As I said, it's got the cocoa and the eggs. And our last step to our crepe batter is actually going to be about 1.5 tablespoons of melted butter. Going to blend that very thoroughly. And now it's important that this be resting in the refrigerator to thicken their batter for about a half an hour or so. We're going to melt 4 tablespoons of butter in a saucepan. We're going to add the zest of 1 whole orange. A microplane grater works great for this. We're going to add 1/3 cup sugar. We're going to add 1/2 cup of fresh orange juice. And we're going to whisk that around, get our sauce ready. And then we'll add a little bit of a nice little secret ingredient at the end when that's done. What we're looking to do here is just basically thicken this up a little bit. You want it to be somewhat syrupy when we top our crepes with it. And actually, while that's melting, I can move on to the filling a little bit, which is great. So we have a bowl here with 1.25 cups of heavy cream in it, and we're going to add a little bit of sugar to that. And we're going to blend it with a hand mixer. What we're looking for are nice soft peaks, so it'll take a moment. All right, so what does it mean when it says soft peaks? You actually want to take your mixer beater out, or beaters out there, and see if it peaks on the edge a little bit without falling over, and there's our nice soft peaks. So this is the consistency I'm looking for. And now what we have is our filling, part of our filling ingredients. What we have is our whipped cream, and then in this larger bowl I'm going to be adding mascarpone cheese. Mascarpone is basically a highly whipped cream cheese. You could certainly use cream cheese as a substitute, there's nothing wrong with that, but the mascarpone does give a nice rich flavor. To that mascarpone I have already zested an orange and added a little fresh orange juice, so you can see it's got a slight little orange color to it. And then to that whipped cream cheese, I'm going to add the whipped cream, and we want to fold it in. Folding is a very gentle texture that you want to work on. You might have seen a folding technique on your cake recipes. You just want to move it back and forth and incorporating the two together. All right, that filling looks absolutely perfect, so we're going to set it over to the side until we put together our crepes. Now for the icing on the cake, we'll call it, for the ingredient to go into our sauce. We are going to use some triple sec. Grand Marnier is another fine substitute. Any sort of an orange liqueur would work for this, and we want about 2 tablespoons that we're going to whisk in. Now you want to be real careful when you're adding alcohol to something, a hot pan. The burner I have here is on very low, so I have no worries. But if I were to have my burner turned up and it spill along the sides, we could have a show, and we really don't want that. So we're going to come back and whisk in the Grand Marnier or the triple sec. And there, our sauce is ready. And we're going to come back and make crepes. Now we're going to get a little bit messy here, just be aware of that, but I am using a standard crepe pan. I have been told in the past that you could use a slope-sided saucepan, but I actually prefer a crepe pan. So we're going to do the butter. You want a fair amount of covering of butter because you want the crepe to be able to move around a little bit. You want a 1/4 cup measure handy, and you want to pour it in. If it was a larger crepe pan, I would do more than 1/4 cup, but it's a smaller pan, so we're fine with that. Good little cross arms there. Pour it onto the pan, but immediately pick your crepe pan up. You want that to cover the entire bottom of the pan because you want a nice round shape. I have my burner probably on about a medium-low. You don't want it too high. And this recipe is also for regular crepes. So if you just want to do a regular crepe, just don't put in the cocoa powder. But we're making a dessert crepe. That's why we wanted the chocolate. So what you can see I'm doing here is I'm moving the crepe around with my heat-proof spatula, just getting it to where it's not sticking on the bottom. I still feel it's sticking in the middle there, so I just want to work it up a little bit. I can take it off the heat just by angling this skillet. All right, now I'm going to flip it over with my spatula. I chose not to flip it on air at that moment because I didn't have enough butter on my pan. Does not need as much time on the second side as it does on the first side. It's loose enough now that I can move it to a plate. And there we have a perfect chocolate crepe. So now we're going to take a spoonful of our filling, put it into the middle of the crepe. Now it's going to melt just a little bit. You might want to let the crepe set aside to cool. These can also be done ahead and left in your refrigerator for the next morning. Roll the crepe over. I'm going to go ahead and move it to a serving platter. There we go. And we're going to take our delicious orange Suzette sauce. It has that triple sec in it. Drizzle that right over the top. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. And there you have it. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. You have your chocolate crepes here with your orange mascarpone filling. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Whether chocolate is involved or not, many dessert recipes feature eggs or egg whites. 741 million eggs were produced in Virginia in 2019 from almost 2.7 million laying hens. The number of layer chickens will rise and fall from year to year as producers adjust to demand for eggs and feed prices. But the average number of eggs produced by a chicken has slowly increased in recent years, up to 275 eggs a year in 2019. In 2020, Virginia's egg industry generated almost $273 million in economic activity in the state.
The average age of a Virginia farmer is 58 and a half years. Who will follow in their footsteps to feed their neighbors and the world? Norm Hyde reports a state farm transition program is celebrating an upgrade.
Bob Harris has been farming in Pittsylvania County for almost 2 decades and was one of the original boosters for Virginia's Farm Link program. At the beginning, it was a simple database designed to connect farmers who want to pass their land to new producers with folks interested in becoming a farmer. While Harris is the 5th generation to live on his land, he's a former beginning farmer and knows how hard it is to start from scratch.
It takes a whole lot of money to get into farming. You don't have an infrastructure, especially if you're new to farming and have never done it, and then you're trying to learn on top of it. I mean, it can just be a challenge. And so that's kind of what we saw with Farm Link, is where this will be an opportunity where you to come alongside somebody and let them teach you and just kind of transition it slowly over a number of years. And then you just gradually take over the farm from there.
Farm Link began more than 15 years ago as a simple spreadsheet with names and addresses that were shared privately. It became a formal program under the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services around 2008 and got a major upgrade at the beginning of this year.
The new website is launching us into the 21st century with a brand new interface. It's so much easier to use. There are greater searchability functions. And it's also a moderated site now, so I have to approve the profiles, which gives us an opportunity to help both farm seekers and farm owners make the profile the best that it can be.
Jacob Gilley has used FarmLink to help expand his Madison County cattle and sheep farm. He says because purchasing farmland can be so expensive, finding out who's willing to rent farmland to beginners is one of the major advantages to FarmLink.
My wife and I, we have a livestock operation here in Central Virginia, and I was adding up the numbers this morning, and it looks like 5% of our land is owned and 95% is leased. So needless to say, leasing land is vital to our operation. With the average acre cost to purchase in the area, it's really not viable or economical for us to buy all the land that we need.
In addition to having greater functionality, we have also really worked on expanding our resources that are available on the site. So there's more on how to write leases, what you need to think about when getting into an arrangement like that, more information on things that you need to consider when you are going through a transition.
Perkins says one estimate is that 10 million acres of Virginia farmland will transition from one owner to the next in the next decade. And her Office of Farmland Preservation is charged with helping keep as much of that land in agriculture as possible. One advantage to FarmLink is you don't have to be personally connected to a rural community to start the search for available land.
It is absolutely free to everyone, and yes, we have a big partner in Virginia Farm Bureau. This overhaul took a lot of research, a lot of time and resources, and Farm Bureau was absolutely instrumental in getting it done.
One of the challenges, is that a lot of those conversations do happen at the coffee shop, and many times the larger landowners and the larger producers that are more established find each other before possibly linking up with a young farmer. And so having a tool like Virginia Farm Link provides a platform for landowners that may be looking to get away from production ag themselves, a way to list their farm and hopefully be able to connect with all producers, but especially beginning and young farmers as well.
New entries are being posted at the updated FarmLink website all the time at virginiafarmlink.org. While the number of farm seekers always outnumbers those who are looking to partner with a new farmer, it's still a good tool.
It's kind of like the chicken or the egg. Are the farms listed first, or are there seekers in there first? And from what I've seen with Virginia Farm Link, we need to continue to promote it and get more land and farms being listed within it, and then that'll certainly attract more farm seekers.
And it's going to be a process that, you're never going to have, thousands of matches. Nebraska and Iowa and some of those that we actually took the model from, they've been doing this going on 30 years, and I think Nebraska's up to 25 matches now. But it's just another tool that people can use that are passionate about farming but may not have the access that some of the others have.
There was a growing interest in becoming a farmer even before the pandemic, and Perkins says that seems to have accelerated in the past 2 years. Hopefully the new improved FarmLink website will help fill that growing need. In Pittsylvania County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia.
They're out there on the front lines. The brave, the dedicated, the relentless. But there's another front line. The one that helps nourish all others while facing epic struggles of their own. So in this season of uncertainty, a few things remain certain. The rain will fall, the sun will shine, and together we'll continue to grow.
Spending time outdoors has never felt more valuable. Whether it's exploring nature or relaxing in your yard, let's do it responsibly. Before going out, check for closures and fire restrictions. Practice social distancing, even when outside and on the trail. Back at home, if burning yard debris, keep your pile small. And no matter where you are, be sure to properly extinguish any outdoor fire. Drown, stir, drown, feel. We're all in this together. Help keep our safe places safe.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you.
They're out there on the front lines. The brave, the dedicated, the relentless. But there's another front line. The one that helps nourish all others while facing epic struggles of their own. So in this season of uncertainty, a few things remain certain. The rain will fall, the sun will shine, and together we'll continue to grow.